Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I think it is 11 on the dot with my time here. And I want to welcome every one of us to this important webinar. I will be facilitating the webinar, and my name is Wale Fatumbi, and I am the Agricultural Innovation Specialist in FARA and the Technical Cluster Leader. Well, this webinar will be having different sections, and someone else is going to introduce that to us properly. But to flag it open, we have dignitaries in-house who will welcome us and then give us their opening remarks. Well, the first person is my own very leader, Dr. Yemi Akinbamijo, the Executive Director of FARA. Dr. Yemi Akinbamijo is already in-house, and then I call him the leader of leaders with many accolades. I think he's also well published. He's a scientist, he's a manager of people, and then he will be giving us the opening remarks this morning. Dr. Yemi, you have the floor to give your opening remarks now.
Okay. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I think my video is off. Oh no, all is well. Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to, first of all, extend my sincere welcome and appreciation to you all for making out time to be with us at this event of the Stakeholders webinar on soil information systems for food security and sustainable intensification in Africa. This indeed, for me, is a very, very important webinar because it addresses the importance of soil information systems for food security and sustainable agriculture in Africa. I always say that everything starts from the soil. Now, I would also like to thank all the stakeholders that are participating in this webinar and for their good interests in the development of Africa's agriculture. The future of our agriculture is our joint responsibility. As it is known, the agricultural sector is one key sector with very, very robust potentials to provide solutions to Africa's economic, social, and ecological problems. Yet, the development of the sector has been bedeviled by several constraints that limits its growth and contributions to development. Ladies and gentlemen, today's webinar is organized as part of the Leap for FNSSA Stakeholders Engagement Week. And we're now in the fourth day. And it underscores the importance of the European and Africa's partnership for food, nutrition, and sustainable agriculture in both continents. My organization, FARA, has been a part of these thinking and action to have a more effective partnership between our two continents in the last decades. FARA has played a coordination role alongside with Wageningen Agricultural Research Center, CIRAD in France, to implement the Pro-Intense Africa project with profound results. The LEAP Agric project followed suit, and lately the LEAP for FNSSA, which aim at ensuring that the roadmap of the high-level policy dialogue is effectively implemented to achieve effective African Union, European Union partnership for sustainable agriculture. And for this, we are extremely grateful to the European Union. The project LEAP for FNSSA also seeks to foster increased synergies and coherence between actors, research and innovation projects, other initiatives and programs through the development and innovation, through the development of institutional alliances and clusters of programs. It aims to enhance the learning environment and create large knowledge base for monitoring and evaluation, good communication, and links between different initiatives to improve the African-European cooperation in science, technology, and innovation. The importance of the issues addressed by the EU-AU project like Soils for Africa is extremely important, and it's very hard. It focuses on the need to halt the pace of soil degradation in Africa. Yes, soil degradation has been a persistent pain in the neck when it comes to agricultural development on our continent. Africa, therefore, prides itself to hold 60% of available arable land in the world. But I can say that the good numbers are not all that is needed. Although it is a good asset for production of food and fiber to meet the need of the ever-growing population, but with the pace of soil degradation that is happening on the continent, this asset is at a huge risk of being at a loss. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, the development of the soil information system could not have come at a better time, in that it meets the needs of the broad stakeholder group in Africa. And this is vital because data and information will be crucial and will be extremely important to be able to take the needed decisions at different levels and scales to ensure the sustainable use of African soils. The notion of sustainable intensification of African agriculture gives a new challenge to finding a blend among variables that yields the best returns with minimal trade-off. Practices like crop rotation, cover cropping, minimum tillage, conservation agriculture, integrated pest management, integration of crop and livestock, agroforestry, and so on, they are becoming crucial and to help soil health and the integrity of our soil ecosystem functions. By and large, the sustainability of the agricultural production going forward relies on the supply of information and available support to the end users. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me to sensitize you on the recent development and the Agriculture 4.0 nomenclature. I also would like to bring to your attention the initiative that the Syngenta Foundation also brought on board in the beginning of March this year in a huge responsibility towards having soil and root health coming to the fore. And I think this is a laudable initiative from the Syngenta Foundation and its partners, helping us to actually craft a new modality of having improved soil and root health on the continent. But then taking the conversation of Agriculture 4.0 nomenclature forward, this describes the future of agriculture, and all stakeholders are invited to come in and put in their aces to ensure that, because everything starts from the soil, we can have a healthy soil and improved soil to drive Africa's agriculture in a sustainable manner. With advances in digitalization and ICT-based actions, agriculture will be run mostly by the five notable mega technologies: the GIS software and GPS agriculture, satellite imagery, drone and other aerial imagery, farming software and online data, and merging of data sets. It was not too long ago that I also was having the privilege to speak at a drone in agriculture conference mounted by South Africa. And this is beginning to take effect. And I am particularly elated to note that Africa is beginning to wake up and warm up to digital agriculture and to see how new technologies, the drone technology, the use of robotics, remote sensing are all becoming crucial. And these will contribute to a safer, efficient, and environmentally friendly agricultural practices of the future. Ladies and gentlemen, the soil information systems in Africa could lead the process of Africa's preparedness for agriculture 4.0, which still looks far-fetched, but certainly will be the reality in the coming years. As we deliberate on the importance of the soil information systems in this meeting, I would like to want us to work outside the box of the conventional and devise a system that will meet the needs of the end users today and remain relevant tomorrow. The role of FARA, ladies and gentlemen, in managing these stakeholders' engagement along the process will continue to grow stronger. And we call on one and all to join hands with us as we continue to build back better and stronger. We will ensure that the African partners have a good sense of ownership of the process, and the eventual soil information system will respond to the demands of the stakeholder for information on soils in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, let me now welcome you once again and wish you all a very fruitful deliberation. I thank you for your attention. I yield back to you, Wally.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yemi, for that insightful welcome address, Agriculture 4.0. I mean, that hits me in a special way. And then your comment on soil information system to lead the process. I think the promise of FARA bringing in support is impressive. Thank you very much, Dr. Yemi. Well, the next speaker is Marta Iglesia. She is the Research Program Officer of Soil, Water, and Nutrient and International Cooperation at the European Commission Directorate General for Agriculture and Rural Development. I mean, Marta had many years experience, over 2 decades experience, and in doing this same thing. And she will be giving us an opening remark from the European Commission side. Marta, you have the floor to present your remarks.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for your introduction, and thank you very much for your invitation to be here with you in this Soil for Africa webinar. It's a great pleasure for me to be here with you today. As Dr. Yemi has already explained, ensuring global food and nutrition security is one of the main objectives of the EU-Africa scientific cooperation, where both continents join forces to address current and future challenges faced by African and European agri-food systems, such as the climate change, the pest outbreaks, the land degradation, and emergent crises like the COVID-19 that we are currently facing. Let me remind you, as you already heard, that this project was funded in the context of the implementation of the EU-Africa Partnership on Food Security and Sustainable Agriculture. We call it the FNSSA. Since 2016, this partnership has specifically focuses on research and innovation actions to support sustainable intensification of agricultural production systems, food systems for nutrition, and the expansion and improvement of agricultural markets and trades. If we want to improve African and Europe's agriculture, it is important to have in place a comparable and open database on agricultural soils information, similar to the European soil database LUCAS. And this is where the Soil for Africa projects come in place. African soils are different from European soils, but both require new scientific knowledge for a better understanding of their functioning, identifying best management practices and technologies to ensure not only the management of the soils in time, but also the economic activities that are based on these resources. Activities of the project are expected to contribute to this challenge. As you mentioned already, soil health is at the heart of many of the solutions of our biggest global societal challenge today. Ensuring African soil health will be laying the foundation of the sustainable food production in Africa. Soil health in Europe is also taking a central role in the policies, notably, as you have probably heard, the European Green Deal and its strategies, such as the biodiversity strategy, the soil strategy, the farm to fork, or the climate adaptation strategy. But we are still facing significant knowledge gaps, which prevent us from implementing more efficiently measures to halt land degradation and to apply climate-smart soil management for better adaptation and resilience of our agricultural food production systems. So we need to better understand and value the potential trade-offs between sustainable management of agricultural soils and other economic, environmental, and social dimensions of soil management. To overcome this gap in knowledge and to ensure soils are managed sustainably by 2030, the European Union has proposed a mission in the area of soil health. EU missions are a new instrument under the Horizon Europe. This is the Research and Innovation Framework Program. And missions are conceived as a way to bring science closer to citizens, to show that research and innovation can deliver solutions to major challenges. The soil mission set concrete targets, which requires work across sectors and land uses in rural and in urban areas. Targets are in the field of land degradation, erosion, pollution, soil sealing, as well as biodiversity protection and organic soil carbon. The mission aims at increasing soil literacy across society and includes activities for training, education, advising, and citizen engagement. I bring this today because the mission has an important international component, and it aims to reduce the global soil footprint of our food production systems. International cooperation will be particularly channeled through research and monitoring activities that will capitalize on the existing R&I initiatives and partnerships. The mission will work with Africa through the FNSSA partnership and will harness the results of this project to harmonize international approaches to monitoring, building the technical and human capacity needed to implement soil health practices and identify investment opportunities in the area of soil health. With this, I would like to thank all the partners of the Soils for Africa project for the work and commitment to this project. With this, I wish you a very successful event, and thank you very much for your attention.
Yeah, thank you very much, Marta, for this thought-provoking presentation. I mean, I think it that work is already going on the potential trade-offs, and that is really, really important for us. Of course, you have locals, but Europeans are already looking forward to the next level. The issue of soil health also hits the right chord. Thank you very much, Marta. Well, we are going to take the last comment for this segment, and that is going to be coming from Dr. Lydia Chabala. Dr. Lydia Chabala is a member of the International Technical Panel on Soil, ITPS, which is part of the Global Soil Partnership in FAO. She is also a university person, a lecturer in the University of Zambia in Lusaka. Dr. Lydia, please kindly present your remarks and set the webinar open. Thank you very much. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, moderator. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I present some official remarks. I have only one slide to share, which just gives the main points that I'm talking about in the presentation. So let me just share it.
You may want to put it in full slide mode. Yes, correct. Please unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
Oh, thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you very much, moderator, once more, and good morning or good afternoon. I want to start by recognizing Dr. Yemi Akibamijo, the Executive Director of FARA, Wise Words, Dr. Marta Iglesias, the Senior Project Officer at the European Union Commission, Dr. Rick van de Bosch, the Director at ISRIC, all the distinguished panelists, researchers and scientists who have logged in, heads of farmer organizations and the private sector, the youths of African agriculture. May I simply say all protocols observed, ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored to be asked to say a few sentiments at the opening of this important webinar that brings stakeholders in Africa and Europe to dialogue about the soil information system for food security and sustainable agriculture in Africa. The cooperative spirit of this forum is much valued, and I think really this is what we have longed for in Africa, to have a desired continental agricultural development. At this point, I want to congratulate the entire consortium of the Soil for Africa project for rallying all of us to be part of this event. Ladies and gentlemen, the agricultural transformation that Africa needs will come through intensification. It is a well-known truth, as Dr. Yemi mentioned, that agriculture is seen as a center of social and economic development in Africa. And largely this is because the sector, most of the labor force are engaged in the sector, and yet productivity is beneath the expectation. One thought leader, Dr. Akin Andresina, once said, Africa has a lot of potentials, but no one eats potentials for dinner. No doubt you may have heard that before. In truth, the potential of African agriculture will only come to bear fruit through intensification of the production systems. Research has come up with a whole range of technologies and practices with strong intensification benefits, but all seems to have trade-offs that warrant a balance among variables for sustainable intensification, both in the African and European context. The conventional intensification model that relies on external inputs, fertilizers and other agrochemicals, has been indicted as polluting the natural resource base. On the other hand, advocates of agroecologies have come up with other models that are averse to use of external inputs. But farm outputs are still a concern. Ladies and gentlemen, this is gradually becoming a social movement. At this point then, what is vital in Africa is to find a mixture of best bet intensification model that meets the needs and the basic character of sustainability. Africa needs to be careful to use its production assets, like the soil, in such a way that future generations will continue to use them and sustain their existence and dignity. The core of sustainable intensification still remains the soil, the African soil. This is the only potent resource for production on the continent, as has been said earlier, that 60% of the available arable land is in Africa. And I think Africa is holding this trust, our soil, first for ourselves, but also for the world at large. Therefore, judicious management of African soil is imperative to halt degradation, but also to work on restoration of degraded lands. Ladies and gentlemen, I am enthused to be part of the board of the Soil for Africa project, an initiative that aims to develop a soil information system for Africa. The objective of the project is laudable and I think is good for our time. My current role as a member of the Intergovernmental Technical Panel on Soil also substantiates my crave for soil management. The ITPS aims to provide scientific and technical advice and guidance on global soil issues. Based on the foregoing, permit me to offer my own sentiment on the discussion of the day. Soil information systems should be structured to provide information to all stakeholders to foster sustainable intensification. This makes me then think, who really is the client for the product? Is it the scientists? Is it the policymakers? Is it extension workers? Is it technocrats or fertilizer blenders or indeed other input dealers? Really, if our targeted development, intermediate development outcome is sustainable intensification for food and nutrition security, then the broader stakeholder group should be our client. Then we should pay attention to the presentation language so that it is usable and accessible for all. To me, this suggests that an app version may be created to facilitate extensive use and also accessibility. Ladies and gentlemen, I do not want to preempt the tone of the discussion, but really to look forward to an interesting time when we jointly tease out the entry points where the soil information system will aid sustainable intensification of agriculture and food system in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you very much for your attention. And on this note, I declare the webinar officially open. Thank you.
Wow. This is great, Dr. Lydia. Thank you very much for this thought-provoking presentation, and we are grateful for it. You have hit it again. I mean, transformation of African agriculture will not come except through intensification of our system. And then you have sounded a big warning to every one of us, be it farmers, technocrat, policymaker, that Africa need to be careful on the way we are using our natural resources so that we have something to leave for posterity. I mean, this is really, really profound. Then you have touched enough also with the consortium of Soils for Africa, that we should think carefully about our clients, who is our customer at the end of the day. And this will influence the way we do things. I want to thank you very much for this thought-provoking presentation. Let me ask if Abraham is ready to give us a 5-minute video on Soils for Africa project. Abraham, you have the floor.
Decline in soil quality costs Africa's agricultural sector hundreds of billions of dollars annually. Soil erosion, decline in carbon content, decreasing fertility, loss of soil biodiversity, and acidification. These are some key hurdles to sustainable intensification of agriculture in the continent. So, soil needs to be managed well, managed systematically. And to do that, good soil data is very important. A fair amount of African soil data does exist, but the data sets are difficult to combine and compare with each other as they have been collected using different methodologies and are in different kinds of formats. The metadata is often not well documented, so the methods used to collect them cannot be traced. A lot of that data was collected before GPS technology was widely available, so the georeferencing behind that data can be inaccurate. Besides, there is a lot of data that is not digitized and cannot be utilized fully. The Africa Soil Information Service project, or AFSIS, was undertaken to improve this situation. The project compiled existing soil data from 300 sources and 18,000 locations across Africa and harmonized it all into one common digital format. Additionally, primary data was collected from 9,000 locations. All of this was combined to create datasets of 250-meter resolution, which formed the basis of Pan-Africa soil maps. These maps can be accessed through an information system called soil grids. AFSIS and soil grids were a great improvement upon what we had before. But a big part of the data underlying them is still legacy data, collected using different non-standard methods. So, soil data-wise, we are not quite there yet. That is the takeoff point for Soils for Africa, which is working towards a continental-scale soil information system based on primary data collected from 20,000 locations across Africa. The methodologies of selecting sampling sites, of collecting soil samples, and of analyzing the samples in the laboratory will be based on LUCAS, the Land and Soil Monitoring System of the European Union. These methodologies will be adapted and standardized for Africa. They will be documented and offered as part of the soil information system. The idea here is that standard methodologies can then be followed and repeated, and this baseline of data from 20,000 locations can continue to grow and increase in resolution. So with time, the soil information system can be used to monitor soil quality at the sub-regional, national, and local levels. To ensure that the soil information system continues to grow in the future, it will become part of FNSSA's Knowledge and Information System and will be hosted by an African Knowledge Institute. As of now, June 2021, the 4-year project is about to enter its second year. A key output of year 1 was a map of agricultural land in Africa. Based on Lucas's land use maps, it shows the location of land used for different agricultural land uses, such as cropping, grazing, and agroforestry. The map will help select the locations for soil sampling. It will help make sure that the samples represent lands under different kinds of agricultural use. We have also identified the key users of soil data in Africa and their specific data needs. This includes policymakers, government organizations, NGOs, researchers, farmer organizations, extension workers, and agribusinesses like fertilizer manufacturers. So the SIS will provide information about a range of key soil properties like soil texture, organic carbon content, phosphorus content, total nitrogen content, and extractable potassium content. All the topsoil across samples will be analyzed for heavy metals. 300 select samples will be analyzed for pesticide residues. We are now finalizing the project's methodology for data collection and analysis. In year 2, we will kickstart the fieldwork.
Thank you very much, Abraham. I think that brings us to the end of section 1 of this important webinar. Well, I'll move quickly to the second segment, and I will be calling on Dr. Mary Stephen Muzungu, the project coordinator of Soils for Africa project that is led by ISTRIC and comprises of 17 stakeholders in Africa, sets the scene for the technical presentation and the panel discussion that we follow immediately. Dr. Mary, you have the floor.
Thank you, Dr. Fatumbi, able facilitator and the brain behind all the coordination of this webinar. Thanks for the opportunity to set the scene. I believe the scene has been...
Mary, I think you are muted, so you have to start afresh. Please unmute your microphone.
But no, it's
okay, and
just a minute.
Slide.
Right, through Rick's microphone?
Because we're using a joint microphone here.
Oh, okay.
We can hear her.
Yeah.
We can hear you, Mary. Wale, please read your text.
Okay.
Okay. No, someone's. It's your.
Not mine. Yours.
That's funny. Can you hear now?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about loss of a minute or so. I was just saying thanks for all the effort in putting this informative webinar together. I would like to share a few words with us on just to bring in the next session, the technical presentation, and keying in on what has been said so far. I think the introduction, a lot of what needs to be said has been said already, the importance of this seminar and of the webinar and so on, but I'll still like to share a couple of sentences and then hand it over to our facilitator to take it further. I'd like to share a few slides with us. Yeah. Okay. As I said, keyed on what has been said, the current agricultural production system in Africa is largely unsustainable and overexploits the natural resources, especially soil. And we have the need to ensure food security in the face of a growing population and changing climate. This is an urgent need. We have had this repeated in the past days of the Stakeholder Engagement Week, kindly put together by the FNSSA. To continue to meet these growing needs, we've had also agriculture needs to be intensified. Like the last opening remark said, intensification of agriculture is the solution to the problem of the growing demand in Africa. Now, Soils for Africa takes this further. Sustainable intensification is the context for the work that Soils for Africa has started doing and will continue to do with support from us. Now, the mission of the Soils for Africa project is to collect soil data and develop a soil information system for Africa. From here, we call it the SIS. Now, the system will inform decision-making and other activities geared towards sustainable agricultural intensification on the continent. It will also facilitate future monitoring and evaluation and enhance the performance of other land uses. Now, the end value of this SIS is determined by its being used, the sustained use of the SIS. So this webinar is a step in finding a way to ensure that the SIS that will come from the project will be used and contribute in actual sense to sustainable intensification of agriculture on the continent. Now, the objectives of the seminar, I guess you can decipher this from what has been said so far since for the past minutes of the webinar. The main objective is to engage the broad stakeholder groups in discussion on the strategies to embed the SIS in the knowledge platform of the FNSSA. And this is a way of ensuring that it does contribute to effective land use for sustainable agricultural intensification. We hope also that it will facilitate an understanding of the process, methodology, and relative utility of the SIS for different categories of stakeholders, and that it will initiate the first level discussion on a possible partnership model for sustaining the SIS for Africa. So already you had a number of times stakeholders. So that is an important consideration in the activities of the Soils for Africa project, and of course the FNSSA. Now, what are the expected outputs? The outputs that we expect is an engagement of stakeholders and initiation of process documents on leveraging the SIS into the FNSSA knowledge and information, and a report of the webinar highlighting the contributions of the SIS to sustainable intensification and also of how to sustain the use of the SIS. Now, we were just having a joke here with the team that a number, the film has brought out a number of salient points of the project, and we will be presenting, the director of ISRIC, Rick van den Bos, will be presenting more details to us. And we just laughed that it bears repetition, maybe. You cannot repeat it too often, the importance of the soil information system and the contribution that the project hopes to make to intensification of agriculture on the continent through this through the soil information system. Now I'll stop here because there is a lot of good information coming in the following sessions. I would just like to take the opportunity to thank you all for coming, to welcome us all, and to wish us a good and fruitful webinar today. Thank you. I'll hand over to our facilitator, Dr. Fatumbi.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mary, for that setting the scene. So we will move right away into the technical session, and then we are all participants, we have opportunity to bear their mind. But we're going to start that by taking the lead presentation for this particular webinar? Well, our presenter is Rick van der Bosch. Rick van der Bosch is the Director of History World Soil Information Center. And Rick is a seasoned soil scientist of more than 2.5 decades. I mean, he has worked in Africa, he has worked in Asia, and he concentrates on the issue of soil fertility and soil and water conservation, environmental impact of agrochemicals. And then he has held positions in businesses, he has managed different centers. I mean, he's a strong person when it comes to soil knowledge across the globe. We are privileged to have you here, Rick, today, and you have the floor to make your presentation.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wole. And thank you all the previous speakers, especially Dr. Yemi, to put this project in the context of the agriculture in Africa, and to Marta to put this project in the context of the EU-African Union cooperation. And a special thank also to Lydia to ask the question, who is going to use this? And will it be suitable for all the different end users or foreseen end users? Well, let me explain a bit more about the project to see if I can answer those questions. And it will be a bit of a repetition of the video that you've just seen. But I think that's good. Then you can also digest the information when you see it for the second time. I'm going to share my screen here. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Is it full screen now?
Not yet.
Is it
Now.
full
Okay,
screen?
now.
Yeah, okay. Okay, there we go. Okay, a soil information system for food security and sustainable intensification in Africa. Soils for Africa. Why is this?
You can turn it off, I think.
Sorry, I'm coming. Why is it in the way all the time? Just one technical hiccup here.
Put this off. I have to reduce it. The
Oh,
bottom.
if you click on that.
Yeah, well, still there. Can you drop it? Reduce it.
Okay, I will manage. Je me débrouille. Okay, so why do we need a soil information system? Of course, to support sustainable intensification. I will not spend more time on that. We've had many words on that already. The issue is that there's limitations with the existing soil information. A lot of information was gathered in the 60s and the 80s of the previous century, but that was all haphazard, and it was not easy to compile that information into one big data set. And of course, it is already from like 30, 40 years ago. The FNSSA project also mentioned, try to fill that gap. And we are building on the legacy of the existing data and FNSSA to build a new soil information system for Africa. And the key thing is here, standardized and harmonized information. I want to highlight 4 important features of the project. One is data collection, one is standardized methodologies, one is a few words on the soil information system, what it is, how it will look like, and then the sustainability plan. Because the important thing that we also would like to discuss today is how can we produce a system that is going to be lasting over a longer period of time after the project stops, because that is what we want. We don't want this to stop when the project stops. We want this to continue and live and have value over a longer period of time. Okay, about the data collection. We're going to take 20,000 samples across the continent and analyze these samples for the parameters that are mentioned in the first bullet of this slide. And we will also measure additional parameters depending on the use cases, and I will come back to that in a minute. In addition, all top samples will be analyzed for heavy metals. So we will also have an idea of the pollution of the soil with heavy metals. A very small part of the 20,000 samples, only 300, will be analyzed on pesticide residues to get an idea of the potential pollution of the soils with pesticides. And then we will take on each location where we can, we will take also subsoil samples, because we all know that the subsoil is equally important for crop production as the topsoil, because it also regulates water and nutrients uptake from deeper layers. Okay, the standardized methodologies, a few words on that. The lack of standardized methodologies for soil sample collection is a shortcoming of current soil data and information systems. If we use standardized methodologies, we can ensure that data collection over the entire continent or the data that are sampled across the entire continent are comparable and interoperable. And that is what we want. And we really hope, and we would also recommend at the end of the project, that future soil monitoring in Africa would use the same standardized methodologies, because only then we can compare the data that we analyze in Soils for Africa with the future monitoring campaigns. And then we can get a handle on soil organic carbon chains, etc. So we hope that this project will set a standard for soil monitoring in Africa. So for those who are less informed and involved in system development and soil information systems, it will be an online database with an underlying IT infrastructure and a web portal to make sure that all these data are available to everybody who has a computer and an internet connection. An additional thing is that it is important, because if you want to manage the landscape, if you want to improve agricultural production, you don't need only soil. We are soil people, so we continuously say that soil is important. But of course, other aspects of the landscape are equally important. The climate, the crops, the landscape. So we will do an extra effort to connect the soil information that we produce in Soils for Africa to the other types of Earth observation information available, in order to allow the user to make analysis combining the different types of data sets. We will also document the methodology in great detail, the methodology that we use in this project. So we hope that then the methodology that we have designed will be used in future monitoring exercises. And of course, there will be an easy upload facility, so that when future monitoring exercises have been done, the data can be easily added to the information system. And future monitoring doesn't necessarily need to take place on the entire continent, because we understand that this is a very lucky situation where we have the funds to do a Pan-African monitoring. But in most of the cases, there will be more interest to do a national or a subnational monitoring exercise. And of course, that is also possible. And also those data can be added to this system to complement it and to make further analysis in the future. The sustainability plan. We are working towards a situation where the soil information system will be hosted in Africa by an African institution. We didn't decide yet which institution that will be. We will decide on the fly while we are working. But we think it is really appropriate if this product eventually is hosted within Africa. Then The SIS is also going to be part of the FNSSA knowledge and information platform. And this for me is also an interesting discussion that we could have, because we don't have a very clear view on what this FNSSA knowledge and information platform will look like and how we can connect to it. So maybe this could be part of the discussion that we are going to have later in the day. User-driven approach. Lydia already said, well, are we really addressing the needs of the stakeholders? That's what we absolutely try to do. We don't want to build an information system that doesn't live up to the expectations of the end users. We have already consulted a great amount of potential users with the great help of FARA, and we have designed use cases, and based on those use cases, we have designed our SOIL information system. I have a few slides on this later in my presentation. Of course, capacity building is important, especially to maintain, use, and extend the SOIL information system. And then an additional thing, we are in the process of setting up a community of practice for institutions that deliver SOIL information to the end user in Africa. And if we have such a community of practice that allows for formal training and peer-to-peer learning, the SOIL information system that we develop here could be extremely instrumental. So those two things can go hand in hand. One slide on an adjacent project that is going on, a big project or a big program, that is the Global SOIL Partnership, managed and facilitated by the FAO. And within that partnership, there is one activity called GLOSIS, the Global SOIL Information System. The idea here is that countries can have a node, their own SOIL information system, which can become a node in a global system. And on the left hand of this slide, you see these nodes, which can be national SOIL information systems. And on the right hand side, you see users all over the world who can access these different nodes simultaneously through a standardized IT infrastructure and a discovery hub. So this is the idea of building in the long run, a global SOIL information system. And this system that we are going to develop in SOIL for Africa could well be a node in this global SOIL information system. And that's why we also have the GSP in the board of this project. These are the partners in our project. I'm not going to mention all of them. In order to carry out the field work, we are working with hubs. We have 5 hubs in Africa, and each hub has a hub coordinator. And this coordinator will then liaise with the coordinators of the individual countries within the hub. So what did we do so far in the first year of the project? Because we actually yesterday or the day before yesterday, we entered into our second year. And I will lead you through a couple of products that we already made. First of all, we have produced a map of agricultural land in Africa, because it needs to be stressed that we are going to sample the agricultural land in Africa, including pasture. So therefore, we needed to know where these agricultural lands are and where these pastures are. That has been our first exercise. That map is available through our website, the SOIL for Africa website. Secondly, we have done this user inventory. Because we have a user-driven design, as I just explained, and we already discussed with over 200, even more probably, over 200 different stakeholders to understand how they were going to use SOIL information in their daily work. Because if we know the use cases, we can decide on the actual parameters that we need to measure in the field. And there were actually identified three main user groups. One on governance, land use planning, policy development, climate change negotiation. These people need soil information to do their work. Knowledge generation, everybody who's doing research, who is developing sustainable intensification practices, extension workers, technology transfer, they need soil information. More on the operational side, on the right-hand side of this slide, farmers production, soil fertility management, but also those who provide and develop fertilizers for the agricultural sector. From today or from yesterday, we are starting to organize ourselves to get into the field. The fieldwork will start early 2022, and up to date, we have designed our methodology from soil sampling all the way to soil data provisioning. How should the soil sampling take place? How should the analysis take place? How should the data be stored? And in what format the data should be served to the end user? That has all been thought through. Now we are ready to start acting. We have coordinators in each hub. I think it's worthwhile to mention them. In North Africa, we have the Institut de Région d'Aride in Tunisia. In West Africa, we have Bunasol in Burkina Faso. In East Africa, we have Calro in Kenya. In Central Africa, we have Ifa Yangambi in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And in the southern part of the continent, we have the University of Stellenbosch in South Africa. These are the institutions that will lead the actual fieldwork, and the whole fieldwork program is coordinated by IITA in Nigeria. Okay, now we have, this is part of our project proposal where we see that we will develop a soil information system. We will connect it with open Earth observation data. We will develop maps of the soils of Africa, and it will merge into the FNSSA knowledge and information platform. That is what we promised to the EU, and that is what we need to do. And today is our first big attempt to connect with FNSSA to discuss, through this workshop that we are having today, on how we are going to merge our information and our information products that we are going to make into this FNSSA information platform. So this is a great opportunity to discuss this. Okay, for me, I have two main questions for this meeting for today. How do we ensure that the soil information system developed by Soils for Africa will be used by other projects or other FNSSA projects that contribute to sustainable intensification? How can we make sure that this is going to happen? But also, how can we ensure that the system will last for a longer period of time? What is our sustainability strategy? And we don't have answers directly for this, and we are eager to discuss this with the panel and with the participants. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. And there's something in Arabic that I can't pronounce, but it is there. And thank you very much to everybody who's been listening. Back to you, dear Wole.
Thank you very much, Rick. I mean, this is rich. And I believe that our participants, they listen attentively and they follow through. I'm sure that comments are already going on in the comment segment, in the chat box. And I trust that Mary is helping to put this comment together and harmonize them so that all of this issue, we can bring it up in the discussion. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is your opportunity in this section to bring forth your opinion. And I want you to use the chat box effectively. As we move on, we'll give you opportunity also to speak to into the webinar itself. Well, I'm going to move now into panel discussion. And what do I call it? scene is set already, and we have all listened to the importance, to the different presentation on the importance of soil information system. But I want us to bring this into context and not allow these to fall like another academic or project activity. Let's discuss it rigorously and bring in practical issues, what is existing already, and our experience on the field to bear. To do this discussion, I have panelists here, and the first on my panelist list is also Rick, that has just presented for Africa. So Rick is the first panelist. Thank you very much, Rick, for your willingness to be here. The next is the manager of International Cooperation for Africa at the Wageningen University and Research in the Netherlands. Well, she has worked in several African countries, and looking at her profile, I call her the prime friend of the farmers, because she has worked strongly on smallholder farmers issue as she works in the private sector, in the public sector, in FAO, and in HIVAD over the years. Jenny van der March will also be in the panel, and she will be contributing to this discussion. But we have spoken so well about Lucas, and soil information system should be modeled after Lucas. Dr. Howie Jones is here. In fact, I almost want to say his middle name is Lucas because he has done a lot around Lucas and is the current coordinator of Lucas. Dr. Howie, you are welcome into this panel discussion, and we hope to get a lot from you. But we did not leave out the farmers. King David Amoah is the president of Farmers Organization Network in Ghana and the Ghana Federation for Agricultural Producers. I mean, that association has over 500,000 members, and the majority are women. So his association gathers women and men together. Dr. King David Amoah has been involved in building smallholder capacity for a very long time, and he leads farmers. It's a prominent voice on the continent, and I am very happy that he's here. You know, I call him doctor because he had PhD, and so he understands the nitty-gritty, and he understands the language of the researchers, the technocrats, and he understands the language of the smallholder farmers. Dr. David Amoah, you are welcome. I mean, we truly want to get the perspective of the farmers on this particular important subject. Well, I've gone far and wide to go and look for a veteran researcher and scientist. And this is Dr. Ishaku Amapu. He's a soil scientist with specialization in soil fertility management, and he currently works with the Department of Soil Science, Faculty of Agriculture, and also the Institute of Agricultural Research of the Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria in Nigeria. Well, check Google for his publication. He has published far and wide on soil fertility, and he has keen interest in digital issue around soil. Professor Amapu has over 30 years teaching and operational research experience. I think I've participated in a number of research and development projects with him, so I know the type of quality he brings into this discussion. Professor Amapu, you are welcome. We are happy to have you here, and we will benefit from you. Well, like I love to say, we have European and African partners in this panel. Dr. Niels Bochard is also here. Dr. Niels Bochard is the project coordinator and manager at the National Research Institute, NRI, in Finland. And he has wide experience in managing research and development projects. He currently coordinates the Sustain Africa project, and he also will be bringing into this discussion his wide experience and how we can work together to ensure that the soil information system become a veritable tool in triggering development action. Dr. Niels, you're welcome. Yes, we have a technocrat or a policymaker also in-house, Mapesin Intara. He is the Chief Land Resource Conservation Officer at the Ministry of Agriculture and Soil Security, and in Malawi. I mean, he has about 2 decades experience working with farmers in the promotion of sustainable land management. And he is also a smallholder farmer person his work revolves around their production system. Well, since 2016, McPherson was the national coordinator for the flood-based livelihood network and is currently the president of Rainwater Harvesting Association of Malawi. McPherson, thank you for your long years contribution to this type of discussion. We will be learning from you. Now, having introduced all my panelists here, I want to get into the discussion proper. And I'm going to be starting from the farmer, the researcher, and the policymaker, McPherson. So this particular question goes to them, because I want us to pick it from the practical point of view. And I want to craft it like this. What is the pressing need for a soil information system in Africa, vis-a-vis the need for sustainable intensification? And I'm going to start with Professor Amapu. I mean, looking at knowledge generation research, what is the pressing need? I mean, can you bring it up? Because I preempt that if there is no pressing need, if we can still do without it, then we are just putting another tool somewhere there that nobody is demanding for. So Professor Amapu, from the side of a researcher, technology generation, what is the pressing need? I mean, you have just a minute or two to give us the points. Professor Amapu, you have the floor. Is Professor Amapu there? I saw him just now. Wow. Wow. Okay. I'm going to take the same question to the farmer. Okay. And then Dr. King David, can you give me the pressing need for soil information system from the farmer's side of view? Is he? Wow. Okay. He's also not there. I saw him now. And hello, my high city. Can you please wade in? Benjamin, can you wade in? We are my panelists.
Yeah, Dr. King David was there. I believe yes.
Okay. Is McPherson there? McPherson, can you please respond to this question?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, McPherson, please, can you give us possibly when the researcher and the farmer gets back online, we will be able to get their comment. McPherson in Tara, can you please?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, the facilitator. And I would like to acknowledge the high-level panelists and all the participants in this webinar. Thank you for the lovely introduction. Indeed, I'm in Malawi. I work for the Ministry of Agriculture. And within the Ministry of Agriculture, I'm with the Land Resources Conservation Department. And within the Land Resources Conservation Department, we have the Land Resource Survey and Evaluation Unit, which has a very keen, which is very keen on matters to do with soil and soil information. So this webinar is very important for us as a ministry, but also as a department. We are looking forward to see how we can contribute and how we can be part of this process. Coming to your question, I think there's a lot that has been said already, and there's a lot that I can say. But I think in my view, and it's also the view of the department, is that we need a soil information system that can be user-friendly, that can be adoptable, and also that can be adaptable. If we look at Africa, so many countries, so many agroecological zones, but I think if we have got a very good soil information system as indicated by Rick, it means we should be able to adapt some other technologies and practices for sustainable soil management from one area into another area based on the soil information that we have. So I'm looking at a soil information system that can be adaptable and also that can be easily be used in decision making. Because if we're going to have a soil information system that is too complex and has all this jargon, then it's difficult for people to make decisions using that soil information system. So something that can also be user-friendly. From a policy point of view, I'm also looking at how the soil information system can easily be translated into economic analyses. Because for policymakers to make decisions, they need figures in monetary terms. So how will the soil information system help us to come up with a quantitative economic analysis that can be passed on to the policy makers, and they can make policy decisions based on that? So something that can also be easily translated for the policymakers to make decisions. I think that's how I'm looking at it for a start. Thank you very, very much, the facilitator.
Yeah, thank you very much, my person. You brought it out smartly. I mean, I can pick two things clearly. The soil information system, if it's going to be relevant to the end user, especially analysts, that individuals are analyzed for the policymakers, it should not use too much technical jargons. I'm picking that, technical jargons. It's painful that I can't find the farmers to tell us the type of language they would prefer to have so that this soil information, they can use it on the field. And you have mentioned it again, the need for economic analysis. Well, that is really very important, those 2 points. And I'm going to move right to Rick van der Baan. I mean, this soil information system seems to be like your baby. I mean, you're passionate about it and you are leading the entire team. Rick, what should Africa end user expect from the ongoing effort to develop the soil information system? I mean, is it going to be the usual, or a lot of nice, fanciful maps with different dots everywhere? Or is it going to be something that the likes of King David Amoa can just access on his mobile phone and provide him with information? Is it something that McIntyre can just put on, and then it's going to give him relevant information with which he will put policy briefs together for his bosses in his office? What should we expect? Rick, you have the floor.
I think it will be something in between, dear Wally. We need to manage expectations here. We take 20,000 samples for the entire Africa. So that is not a lot. So the information that is going to be available will not be on an extremely high resolution. And we will not advise individual farmers with fields of less than a hectare or even much smaller in Africa to use it to specifically manage their fields. So that needs to be said. What we are trying to do here is to set up a information system. Eventually, it will look like maps, but in a language and in a format that is usable for the user groups that I presented just in my presentation. But the thing is that those maps will not be a panacea for all the problems. The idea is that other entities, other users build services on top of this data set. So there will be spatial information on the soils of Africa in a format that can be used by others to provide services to the farmers, for instance, or to provide analysis to the policymakers. Very good example of this is that it can be very well used, and we have already experience with this, by fertilizer companies to design and produce site and crop specific fertilizers. And that's desperately needed in Africa. We need to move away from the 1 bag per acre, no matter what's in the bag, no matter how big the bag. And that's exactly what this information system can help with for those who are working much more on a regional level, to have enough information to build services on top of this system for the farmers and other land users. So we need to be careful not to overpromise. And also another remark that I would like to make is that this is also a first attempt to build a soil information system for Africa, building on Lucas, and it gets more value the longer we use it and the more data we put into it. So value increases after the lifespan of the project when the methodology is going to be used for a longer period of time.
Wow. Thank you very much for clarifying this in our minds. I mean, we must manage the end users, especially the stakeholders' expectation. But I just want to give a follow-up question. And you said, I want to find out at what scale, because a farmer that runs maybe 10 hectares, 20 hectares like David, this may not be too useful to him, except that he has broad knowledge on how to interpret the map. Okay, so at what scale should we be expecting this information? Is it at village level, at town, city level, or at country level? That's one. The second point you hit that I want clarification for the audience on is the issue of intermediaries. That, okay, maybe the extension agent with knowledge in soil will pick this up, digest it, break it down, and they can break it down in a format that will be useful for the farmers for its crop selection, and the same way for policymakers. Do you think, how do you see the future of this soil information system there? Will this soil information be built in such a robust manner that in future, I'm not saying from the current project, maybe in future, this soil information system will be transitioned into a tool that on my mobile phone, I can do digital picking, and it tells me that, well, the way this your particular location is being used over time, watch out.
Yes.
You know, and this is what I think is practical. I want just your comment on this briefly,
Right.
so I can move quickly.
Yeah,
Thank
okay.
you.
Thank you. We are aiming to produce the eventual maps on a 250 meter by 250 meter resolution. What does that mean? Every square in Africa with a size of 250 by 250 meter, we have a prediction of the soil quality in that square. And you know, building a soil phone app is not difficult. You know, there are so many cell phone apps around the world. We can easily make a phone app on top of that database. That is not the difficulty. The difficulty is to make that information reliable and accurate. And you know, the system will be there, and in the beginning, the accuracy of the data will be limited. But the more information we add over time, the more accurate the prediction becomes for that specific square of 250 by 250 meter. So that is the idea of building a system that can grow over time and can improve over time, as long as
I am back on.
As long as you add more data to that. Is that a good answer to your question, Wally?
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate this very brilliant response to this issue. I think, and we will definitely get this from the chat. I know what the stakeholders will be saying, that then if you that's leading the process and all of us working together with you, we better think ahead and make the base of this soil information system very robust so that it is expandable and it can grow into a utility, the type that I just described. I hope I'm speaking the mind of the broad stakeholder group, I mean the end users. I just saw that King David Amoa is back and Professor Amapu is back. I don't know what took you away. Is that the internet's devil? I rebuked the devil. Now that you're back, I'm going to pose your question. King David Amoa,
Thank you. I am back.
Did you get the question? So let me pose the question again. I said,
thank you.
What is the pressing need for a soil information system in Africa vis-a-vis the need for sustainable intensification from a farmer's perspective? The same question goes to Professor Amapu from a researcher perspective. So King David, please quickly give us, because time is going quickly.
Thank you very much. Let me thank the organizers for inviting a farmer to this important webinar meeting. As the discussions the previous speakers have said, all these soil information systems, the end user is the farmer. And all the researchers, all the talking that we do, the research and all that, it ends up with the farmer. And if the farmer doesn't use all these findings, useful findings and useful technologies, it becomes not adaptable. But going straight to the point, I think it is very interesting that the soil information, as you have just said, the intensification is very important. We are talking about the judicious management of soil intensification. And I'm also aware that the soil intensification system has already been done by the Soil Research Institute of Ghana. And what it is meant for is for investors, foreigners, natives, farmers, and all stakeholders to be aware of where they will have space for farming. We know that the previous government in Ghana has actually allocated some agricultural lands like the one in Weja, agricultural farmlands, and then Ashaman and other places. Our concern is the fact that when all these things are done, there is no actual policy that backs it, especially when you think about urbanization and then real estate development that go in to take over all these good agricultural lands and the soil information systems. So we as farmers will be very much interested if we could come up with a policy that will actually force our governments to develop or to set aside some agricultural lands that will not be taken over no matter what, whether by the urbanization or real estate developers. We know that soil is one factor that is very crucial for farmers. And if nothing is done, now if you drive along Accra to Nsawam, no farmlands are there. All have been converted into agricultural real estate buildings here and there. So it will be very important that some policy is actually put in place and enforced in such a way.
Yeah, thank you very much, King David. I mean, I've seen the entire sentiment, and you have taken it also to a very sensitive point, but we will come to that point. Let me quickly take the comment from the researcher, Professor Amapu. Please unmute your microphone.
Okay. I'm very sorry, my system just went blank, but I'm back.
That's
this is to sincerely thank the organizers for getting me to participate in this program. To address the first issue, I think we're all in agreement that intensification is inevitable in Africa now. And there's also no saying the fact that, to have a good plan, you need good data, requisite data. And unfortunately, as many of us are aware, Nigeria, like most other parts of Africa, is actually data poor, both in quality and quantity and the accessibility of data. In fact, from the experiences we've had in projects we have participated, you go to what you consider the most appropriate places, and you don't get the information you want. A clear example was when we actually tried to work with ISRIC as Johan Linas and the late Professor Inaku Ode of University of Sydney, to document the Nigerian soil legacy data. As I said, you go to the most appropriate of places and you will not get, data. So the point is that this is a very commendable effort by Soils for Africa to actually have a soil information system. And what we will say here is that indeed the need is great, and there's the need for this effort to be supported by others. And I'm happy that, you know, in Nigeria, we have an initiative that is same, you know, almost or similar to what the Soil for Africa is about doing. And we need to actually harmonize our efforts. We need to put our efforts together in addition to harmonizing our efforts to ensure that you know, we really have this data, soil data, which could actually help us to plan. Just as, you know, all of us well know, there's a popular saying that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And indeed, you know, you cannot plan without data, as I mentioned. The other thing that we really need, you know, to ensure that this effort leads to sustainability is the fact that we need to have the persons that will actually man, you know, both the data generation and data management very seriously. And I dare say that currently in sub-Saharan Africa, we are actually in dire need of, you know, those critical scientists in those critical areas, particularly persons with requisite knowledge of data generation, analysis, and interpretation. And we need people that actually have technical proficiency skills, you know, in actually spatial ecology and measurements and all sorts of those things that will ensure that the data gathered will be of use. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prof. You have made an allusion to this important point. So from the researcher point of view, availability of data is a major issue, and you think that the soil information system is going to help. Now, as you just reflect on this, when I come back to you, you may make a comment around it. Okay. Now, this particular Soil for Africa is going to take one-time data, and then we expect that, okay, as things evolve, maybe there will be another opportunity to collect more data and then improve the system. Okay, there's a particular question in the chat. I will bring it back to Rick around that. But I want you to think carefully around this. At what frequency should the data be upgraded for it to be useful to the researchers and knowledge generation entity? We're going to come back to you. But let me move now to Europe. And then I'm going to be asking Howen Jones. I mean, we are structuring the soil information system for Africa following the Europe experience. And Europe has actually done a lot around Lucas. I checked the internet quickly to understand what Lucas is. And I realized that Lucas started since 2009, okay? And Lucas has collected data in 2 phases, and the analysis has been going on. And since we have Arwen here, he's going to tell us. Let me quickly read this to you, the audience. He said, the land use and coverage area frame survey, that is Lucas, is an extensive and regular topsoil survey that is carried out across the European Union to derive policy relevant statistics on the effect of land management on soil characteristics. Said approximately 45,000 soil samples has been collected from 2 time period, 2009 to 2012 and 2015. By repeating the survey every few years, changes to land use can be identified. So Lucas soil represents the largest harmonized open access data set of topsoil properties available for the European Union at the global scale. It was developed as an expandable resources with the possibility to add new properties and sampling location during the successive sampling campaign. Now, Howen, what lessons will Soils for Africa and Africa Partner learn from Lucas? Now, I want to ask you also that it has come of age, 2009 to now, I mean, a decade plus. Is there any impact to this soil information, to the Lucas soil information system? Is there any measurable impact, or you have not actually conducted any impact assessment from Lucas? Okay, and it will be important for us also to have an understanding of, I mean, the subsequent sampling. Did you sample the same location again, or you just expand the sampling? Okay, and how did you actually run it so that we can learn and then move very fast to bridge up with you? This is about Europe-Africa partnership. So Howen Jones, You have the floor to respond to my multiple questions.
Indeed, thank you very much. I think if I go into detail for all of your questions, we'll be here until tomorrow. But let's say I'll try to give you some quick summaries. Because indeed, what the main reason for Lucas originally was to be able to have a comprehensive picture of the condition of soils across Europe, because in many European countries, as it is in Africa, the information that was collected by countries was either out of date or it didn't actually reflect the main policy questions that were being asked at the time. And I think very importantly, in particular for us, we found it very difficult to assess trends in soil conditions. So the original Lucas was set up very much in the same way as I see the soils for Africa, as a baseline against which we could observe changes in soil condition as a result of predominantly how the land is being managed. We don't necessarily focus exclusively on agricultural soil. So that's a big difference between the EU and Africa, is that we also capture information from other land cover categories, the semi-natural, some urban areas as well, and forests. So the idea is that the perception is that how policies that affect the land are implemented can have a bearing on the condition and eventually the health of soils and their capacity to provide ecosystem services. So indeed, we started in 2009 with a sample of around 22,000 locations. This was increased slightly in 2015 because of new countries that became part of the European Union. And in 2018, these 25,000 locations were repeated again. And we're currently planning next year to have the fourth Lucas survey, which has been extended to over 40,000 locations, predominantly targeting agricultural area, I have to say, so that we will have these 4 time steps. And I think what's important is that indeed the data that we have collected up till now has been used for a huge amount of applications. It's been used to validate models. It's been used to parameterize models. We are using it to look at changes. One of the things to bear in mind, of course, that soil conditions change relatively slowly over time. So at the moment, comparing, let's say, 2009 to 2015, the degree of change is very difficult to quantify from a statistically significant point of view, because this is only capturing the first 5 years. Now we've just taken delivery of the data for 2018. We have a longer time period, and we should be able to see over that period a much clearer indication of trends in soil characteristics, which indeed we are beginning to observe, let's say, for soil carbon stocks and so on. But I think the important point to bear in mind is that there are some soil characteristics that are relatively stable over time. So now we don't measure, for example, the texture anymore. That's been done once. It's relatively stable. What that gives us is the capacity then to look at more relevant aspects, to put more detail, for example, into understanding soil biodiversity, let's say at a bacterial level, what's happening in relation to pollutants, so we can put a greater emphasis on modeling pollutants. So this is the more modular component that we are trying to measure.
Okay.
And I think an important, if I may make a last point, an important aspect is that initially, while this started out as an EU-wide operation, it's now become a sort of de facto soil monitoring program for the EU with an increasing buy-in from countries. And I think that's the strength potentially of the Soils for Africa project, that here we are, we're trying to set up a model that can be applied at a continental scale, but equally it can be applied at a national or regional scale, so that you can have this tiered approach where increased data flows into the soil information system. And by doing this, you move from, let's say, the current round where we are predominantly targeting policymakers to a level where we can support farmers with very precise local information. But that needs an investment. Now, somebody has to invest and commit to installing that approach at a national or regional level.
Wow, thank you very much, Awen, for the very good explanation. I got it all, and I'm sure the stakeholders in this webinar also got it. Now, you made an important statement, which I think Rick also may just pick as a point. All of us also pick it in a useful way. Maybe we may need to think through process to bring this down to national level, okay? So that the countries can pick the methodology, maybe the policy maker, the government system can pick it, establish their own soil data collection framework. And at that point, it spreads around the country, then the system can provide information to the last mile user, the farmers. It's a pity that Lucas did not give prime attention to agricultural land, because I would have loved to know what the impact of it is on the farmer. But based on that point, I move to the next question. And I'm going to go back to Professor Amapu, King David, and I'll push the same up. I'm going to start from Jenny and Neil Bochard. Now, I want to say that how can we ensure that the soil information system developed by Soil for Africa projects will be used effectively by others, okay? Because, Jenny, because we're thinking that this information system will become a part of the FNSSA data pool. And so, and you anchor the partnerships among all these initiatives and projects. I think Wageningen also is part of the coordination of LEAP for FNSSA project. So how do we ensure, okay, that the use will be very, very effective? Let me take Jenny first, so that everybody believes that I'm gender sensitive.
Thank you, Ole. But let me start by saying that FARA, so you, are also part of the coordination,
yes,
because this is a joint European-African program.
Yeah.
I would like to go back into time a little bit, and I will take many shortcuts for the sake of time.
Yeah.
In heads of European and African heads of state met. This was in 2007, and they decided that their collaboration on science and innovation, research, science and technology was very fragmented. And with the issues of SDGs, hunger, etc., it would be very wise to harmonize and speed up. And so a high-level policy dialogue on science, technology, and innovation was installed in 2010.
Yeah.
And it is from that high-level policy dialogue on science, technology, and innovation that the roadmap on food, nutrition, security, and sustainable agriculture was developed. And as Marta said in the very beginning, this project, as many others, including the LEAP for FNSSA project, is part of this Europe-Africa FNSSA partnership. And the objective of the LEAP for FNSSA partnership is to build or facilitate a bicontinental, so Europe-Africa platform. And what is that platform going to be? It is indeed going to be or include a knowledge management and information system. It will also be a platform where you can meet many stakeholder groups, because I wrote down, Rick clearly said, the information that this project is going to generate would have to be used by private sector, by policymakers and others. And this is why I am also emphasizing the history of this bicontinental platform, as it links automatically to the European and the African policymakers. So this platform that is under development should take care of this. Now, one last remark before you are going to the next panelist, Wale. As I said, it is under development, the knowledge management system, which in a way is sad, because I can't give you very concrete answers that this is where it will fit and this is how it will go. It is also a huge opportunity, because there are invitations for everyone to participate into the development of this knowledge management system. Currently, there are lots of efforts going on in clustering, ensuring that all the projects, and there are at least 300 under this partnership, are talking to each other, know what each one is doing. So cluster-wise, the projects are invited to talk to each other so that they can build upon results of what others have done, and also be informed and inspired by other projects. So lots of opportunities there.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jenny. I think this is very rich, and the point where you closed will be very useful to pose appropriate question to Niels. Niels, you are there? I mean, Niels, effort is going on to ensure that project talks together. And Niels, you are leading the Sustain Africa project. How do we ensure that the soil information system find relevance in all this project? Of course, most of the project talk about sustainable intensification, but they address different components of this sustainable intensification. So what are the points, the key things we need to do, and we need to start doing from now? So Niels, you have the floor to respond. Is Niels there? Oh, okay. Niels is not there. I hope he finds a way to come back. Okay, I'll go now. I'll quickly move to the last question. The issue of sustainability also becomes very important, Professor Amapu. Okay, and we know that Soils for Africa, it's a project. It has a limited time, possibly in the next, we are moving into the second year, it has a 4 years lifespan. So how do we ensure, especially for Africa, that this good soil information system becomes sustainable? It will not, so that it will not become something that becomes obsolete after some time, something that we keep using. I know that there are sustainability thoughts in the mind of Soil for Africa project itself, but from Africa, what are the core things that we need to put in place? Professor Amapu. Professor Amapu, I can see your picture. Are you still there? Yes, okay.
And one of the things that, yes, I'm talking. I'm with you, yes? Can you hear me?
Okay, we can hear you now.
Okay. I started by saying that, of course, sustainability is the goal of any good initiative. And as for Africa is concerned, sustainability, ensuring that the partners actually take ownership of the ideals, of this initiative. And I want to believe that this is ingrained, in the activities of the Soil for Africa project. That is very, very important.
Okay.
The owner from the policy right down to the farmer. Take, there's this saying that comes to nobody, but when one takes it as it nourishes it and nourishes it. Right.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Professor Amapu. Although the internet devil is still ranging somewhere there, we did not hear you, it was breaking, but we got a bit of the information. Let me pose the same question to my person in Para.
Yes, thank you very much, Prof. On sustainability, I listened keenly to what Rick Eriawan mentioned about capacity building. And he mentioned about capacity building on maintenance, use, and extending the soil information. I think that is very important and it's key to sustainability. So yes, Rick asked the question, but he already gave us some of the solutions. But I would like to add that capacity building should extend to the methodologies that will be established. And what I mean is that we have local experts, we have local technical experts. These local experts should be empowered, and a key sustainability element should be empowering and building the capacity of the local experts and technical people within the host countries so that they are able to continue collecting the data, continue improving on the methodologies moving forward. In that way, we're going to create that sense of ownership, and they should be able to take it forward. So yes, capacity building should go beyond maintaining and use of the information system, but right away from the data collection and all the standardized methodologies, that element of capacity building should be entrenched for the local experts and the local technical people on the ground.
Yeah, thank you very much. That is very useful. Just permit me to jump on you here on this question of sustainability of the soil information system for Africa. From Lucas' experience, how do you ensure sustainability? Number one, for the system itself, one. And number two, for continuous utility. Use and utility of the Lucas system. Can I put it in a layman's language? Who is paying for Lucas?
Yeah, okay. So the Lucas survey is funded by the European Commission. So we have different policy DGs that contribute to the survey on the basis of specific questions that they have. So the part of the Commission looking at climate change, with agriculture, with environment, and also in terms of health, human health. So they all have questions on how certain aspects of soil are relevant to their policies. And so these ministries or divisions, I think there are in the Africa Union Commission, contribute. We then coordinate, the GRC coordinates all the activities. We also act as the long-term repository of the data. The data are on the whole freely available and are some of the most downloaded data sets that we have. Okay. Increasingly, as you demonstrate results of the data that is collected, you find that now that within the European Green Deal, the Lucas soil is being written into different parts of legislation now. So that we should develop a comprehensive soil pollution module. We should be using it to assess soil biodiversity in a more comprehensive manner. So in a way, the success of Lucas generates more interest and more needs. So I think for Africa, indeed, there has to be, as I said, I think also a buy-in from local stakeholders, from the Africa Union Commission, maybe supported by World Bank, I'm sure that there will be continued interest from the EU, but also from the individual countries as well. They have to see that there is a value to soil, and that they need to really manage and understand how land use is affecting the capacity of them to have healthy soils. So I think to have the sustainability, you have to have this big buy-in from an African perspective as well.
Thank you very much. I tell you, this response is really, really very, very useful. Getting the locals to have buy-in, getting the policy making system in the country to have buy-in, and for the different countries, that is useful. In fact, that is throwing certain assignment to Professor Chude and the and the African group of the Global Soil Platform to reflect on and see how do we persuade our policymakers to see the importance of this. But I think if you have evidence, then the policymakers are easy to persuade. Good. Thank you very much, my panelists. I want to go to the audience. And I've been reading through the chat, a lot of, very important questions are here. And I think, Mary.
Can I make some contribution, Prof?
Yes, you will make it, but let me just finish this. You will make it, King David. Yeah. So I have seen that, and I think, Mary, you are able to put a few of the very vital questions together for the panelists to address. I'll come back to you. But ladies and gentlemen, a poll will be coming up immediately now. And I want to ask the IT to start posting the poll. The panelists cannot be part of the poll, but you can see it. It's only the audience that can contribute to the poll. So let the polls go on while Mary prepare to present the question. And then King David, you can make your comment now. King David, you can make your comment now.
Thank you very much. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Thank you very much. I think the issue of sustainability is very, very important, and especially to we the farmers, because if sustainability is not upheld, it means all the work that has been done all these years will just go waste. We know how much it is costing Soils for Africa to come up with this very good project. And I think soil issue should be taken very seriously. And I think with the collaboration between the farmers and especially the Ministry of Agric and the research institutes. You know, in Ghana, we have different ministries. There must be a harmonization between the Ministry of Agric and the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology, and Innovation, so that this thing trickles down. I also want to say that knowledge sharing is very important, because all this good work, knowing where the soils are good soils, and knowing very well that these days our soils are becoming eroded and degraded and even spoiled by this galamsey issue. We need to take very good care of our soils. Otherwise, the future of agriculture in Africa, and for that matter, Ghana, will be very bleak, because we see the distractions that are going on our soils, because people are mining for gold and then for forest resources. So I think that education is very, very important, so that we all buy in. From the farmers' perspectives, the NGO, and even bringing in the media, so that they can keep.
We got your point, King David. We got your point. I'm sorry to jump in that way, but that's my role, and because of our time. But this.
Thank you.
And it's strong enough. So please let the poll go on quickly. Mary Tumeric, can we get the comment? I observe that panelists can vote. So people in the panel, you can also vote in the poll.
Okay.
So Mary, you have the floor, please.
I'm trying to get back on. Okay. I think maybe two major or three major groups of questions here we had most people asking about the scale of application of the SIS. And the second group of questions that I think we can address has to do with sustainability. And the third, a lot of people are asking, we already have harmonized data sets and harmonized methodologies and data. So why doing that again? Those are the three groups of questions, but the main ones that, do you have more? So
yeah, that's pretty much the broad groups.
Yeah, I think those are the broad groups. So to the panelists, yeah, what are the strategies to make sure that this is not just one of the efforts that gets forgotten after this? Yeah.
I think the panelists, they've responded to that. And they've all responded to that, the sustainability strategy to ensure that it goes on and goes on. And it revolves around persuading our policymaker. And that is why I brought out that question in a very practical way, that from Lucas, who pays? Awen has told us that European Union is paying. Of course, European Union is still keenly interested in Africa. But I'm picking the statement from the lips of my very big boss in FARA, that you cannot build your kitchen. You cannot increase your family based on the size of your neighbor's kitchen. So possibly Africa needs to look inward for who pays within for the expansion of the soil information system. That's just my opinion, candid opinion. So the second question, Mary, what is it?
Yeah, that's about, the second one has to do with the scale of application of the information system. There are a number of people who want to know if it can be used at, field scale, farm level, small farms. But I think, Rick also gave answer to that, but I give the question.
Maybe Rick, you need to repeat this again. Maybe. If some of the questions are falling in that area, I saw it.
Right. Okay, let me try. Well, thanks for the question. And it's a question, those questions come up all the time. And it's important to be clear about it. As I said, 20,000 samples for the entire continent is not much. But because of clever digital soil mapping technologies, we can make predictions for 250 by 250 meter resolution. That, however, doesn't mean that the system is applicable for those kind of small fields, because it's all about accuracy. Is the data, is it accurate enough? And I'm 100% sure that if we have a sustainable system that lasts over a longer period of time, and we have a community of practice around it that uses this system in a similar manner, and we are all working in the same direction, and every time we do sampling campaigns, we do it according to the same methodology, and we upload this data into the same system, we will get a system that eventually could be applicable on farmers' field level. But that is over time. In the beginning, at the end of the project, it will be applicable on regional scale. That means villages and larger.
Thank you very much. Before we take the third category of question from Mary or from Abraham, I saw Professor Ogukule raised a question in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay, and I truly want Rick to just make a statement around that question. He was saying that we will continue to sample after the first sampling. What is in the methodology for continuous sampling? Is it the same point? Is it new points? Did you get me, Rick? The same point or new points, so that we can do continuous expansion? Since we are taking 20,000, only 20,000 now. So is it the next level of sampling? Is it going to be the same point?
No,
it can be new points. Yeah.
It can be different points. The idea is that in the end, every country or maybe within a country, they can design their own sampling strategy as long as they use the same ways of sampling, the same ways of analysis. The data will be comparable to the ones generated by Soils for Africa. And they will improve the predictions of the soil maps that comes out of the system. And eventually, if there's enough data, you can also make time steps and see how the soil evolves over time. So it doesn't need to be the same location. Absolutely not.
That's excellent. So Abraham, anything from you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Abraham. Please.
Yeah, okay. We have a large number of questions. We have received a large number of questions, and there are a lot of technical questions. Just one of them I would like to throw up right now at this point is people have suggested that there are several smartphone-based farmer decision support services or tools out there. And do we have a strategy or a view as to how the soil information system could be integrated into that ecosystem of services?
Ecosystem support. Okay, maybe I'll go back to Rick again.
Thank you very much. Well, it's a good question, and it's a nice question, and it links to what I earlier said. You know, this project is going to deliver a basic soil information system, and those services that are built by those service providers with their mobile phone apps, if they use soil information, it would be extremely nice if they tap into this system to get the soil information they need to develop the service that they are developing. So this could be a sort of a ground layer for those services that Abraham was talking about. But we are not going to develop those services, of course, because they are different for every different part of Africa, for different farmers, for different land uses. So that is all up to the user.
It's all right. Thank you very much, Rick. Abraham, I may come back to you, but I want to ask the audience that I will take additional 5 minutes from your time. I want to take people that raise up their hand in the audience. I think, a lot of hands, but Kabiru Alani Shitu, are you there? Kabiru Alani Shitu, so that you quickly make your comment. Okay. If not, okay. If not, then I move to Agnes Kapingu. Agnes Kapingu. Oh, if Agnes is also not there, Samuel Mesele. Samuel Mesele, can I get your comment quickly? Oh.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
My question just revolves around the issue of awareness creation as part of the effort of the project, that people get to know about what the aim of the project is, and even in their different partner institutions get awareness across the institution, because the more people are aware, the more the platform becomes functional. That what effort are we making to ensure that all the needed stakeholders or all the stakeholders are involved and are aware of what the project is trying to do and how they can contribute in their own capacities. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. I think Abraham, be prepared to respond to that to that questions. Let's allow Rick to have some rest here. Yeah. Abraham, can you please respond to that question? It's about publicity and communication for the soil information system.
Oh, I think Abraham said you didn't hear it.
You did not hear. Oh, he's busy with other things.
I'm sorry, I could not hear the question.
Okay. Well, we can pick the question back. So let me go back to other individual in the project. Mary, do you want to respond to that? What effort is the project putting in to enhance publicity so that people know and they are conscious?
Project website, and we have the social media channels, but we on the website you can get a lot of information on the deliverables, the results of the project so far, and the activities of the project. And FARA is our partner in charge of stakeholder engagement, so they are also a broad stakeholder interviews were conducted at the beginning. So I think our facilitator is our direct person in this regard. Maybe you can add something to it.
Good. Thank you very much, Mary. Then Aisha to Taran Diallo, if you are there quickly, you have the floor now to quickly present your question. After that, I think Kofi, are you ready with the compilation of the polls? Okay. Then Agnes Kapingu, are you there? I want to move quickly. Agnes, okay, Agnes Kapingu, please quickly present your comment. I saw that you are in into the panelist group now. Agnes Kapingu. Oh, time. Okay, what about Newton in Yapwere? Newton in Yapwere. Okay.
Yes. Hello, everyone.
Okay, Newton, please be quick. Yeah.
Okay. I have a question concerning the national soil information systems. You realize that most countries, for example, Zimbabwe, these two don't have a soil information system, and also that their data is still not digitized. So in terms of the Africa Soil Information System, how best can these countries without this information, especially those who still have 1:1 million, be assisted so that they also contribute to this?
Okay. Yeah, that's taken. Thank you, Newton. Yes. Okay, I'll go to Rick. Yeah, Rick, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you for that question, Newton. That's a great question. Now, in this project, as it is formulated now, there is no room to help individual countries to set up a soil information system for their country. But if we look at the Global Soil Partnership, there's a lot of efforts to help national institutions to build capacity and to be able to build an own soil information system that deals with their own soils and with their own stakeholders. And we are also part of those efforts. And we would love to link these two efforts together in order to make sure that, we get a lot of national institutions around this system, receiving capacity building, receiving training, and adding information to the system. So our agenda is to bring those two initiatives together to make sure that there is enough capacity building to work on this soil information system together.
That's great. And I want to begin to draw the curtain following that comment, but I'm going to give all panelists opportunity to make just one sentence to close it all. And I'm going to start from Professor Amapu, you are on, followed by King David. So can we start quickly?
Thank you very much. I would like to say this is a great initiative. And as a concluding remark, one of the other suggestions I would like to make with respect to sustainability is actually the need for us, most of us in Sub-Saharan Africa, to change our qualitative assessment to quantitative. That knowledge, we need to change that. Thank you very much.
Okay, good. Thank you. King David Amwa, are you there?
Yeah, thank you very much, Prof. I think it's a very good initiative, and we want to see it being implemented throughout the whole AU countries. I think issue of soils very important, and the work Soils for Africa is trying to do is in the right direction, and then we the farmers are all out for it. So you can count on us as members of the stakeholders. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Is Mark Person there? Mark Person in Tara, are you still there? No, I can't see him in the panelist group. Okay, and Owen, your last comment.
Well, the Soils for Africa project is a beginning, and I think it's laying the foundations for the way forward. And let's hope that people are inspired to contribute more.
Okay, thank you very much. Is Jenny still in? No, I can see Jenny. Okay, let me take the last comment from the chief host, the chief presenter, and the chief. We have used him too much today. Rick, your concluding comment.
Yeah, well, I already had a lot of possibilities to talk. You know, the last thing I wanted to say about sustainability, if we manage to produce something that is useful, other people will take care of it. And that is something we need to keep in mind. If it's useful, people will pay for it in a later stage to take care of it. And I think the African Union, if they would put some money on the table to take care of this baby and bring it further and raise it, that will be extremely welcomed. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Kofi, can you quickly show, you have just 2 minutes to show the result of the poll. Please, Kofi, it's just 4 questions. Okay. Please give us the full screen. Okay.
Good day, everyone. It's a pleasure to be in touch with all of you, and thanks for taking part in the polls. So for our first question, sorry, my slides are not moving.
Let it move.
Please hold on.
The internet.
So I'll stop sharing and reshare.
Please quickly do. Okay.
It's working now. So on our first question, which has to do with the potential of the soil information systems, we have majority agreeing that linking the soil information systems into the FNSSA database will enhance stakeholders' access and broad-based utility.
That's great.
I'm sorry, I may not be able to, because of time, I may not be able to share the screen in the full screen mode, because
okay.
I don't know, there's something happening with my keys here.
Okay.
Nog een keer, Mary.
I said, I think we can make the results available on the website. Yeah,
I think we will do that. Okay, Kofi, don't worry again. We will make the result available to stakeholders, because time is not on our side. We've taken more than the 5 minutes we requested from the stakeholders. So I'm going to, you can share now. I'm going to ask Professor Chude to quickly give us the closing remarks, and we can go from there. Professor Victor Chude.
Yes. Wale.
We can hear you, Prof.
Distinguished panelists, I want to thank all of you, including our colleagues in diaspora, I would say, for your active participation in this very important webinar focusing on soil information system for food security and sustainable intensification in Africa. I observe that the scope of the presentation and discussions clearly showed the stakeholders' deep interest in the subject matter, and again, the growing interest of all and sundry in the development of Africa's agriculture. I strongly believe that African agriculture is at the verge of a breakthrough. I can even say we're heading towards a green revolution coming to Africa in the nearest future. The subject of this webinar is very vital. Now than ever before, it is noteworthy that the Soils for Africa project listening to your presentations, has commenced the process of developing a veritable soil information system that will meet the needs of the broad stakeholders group in Africa. I understand that the work package 2 of the project led by FARA and supported by ISRIC and the African partners, rather the French partners, has conducted a rigorous investigation that documented the stakeholders' opinion on what the soil information system should be. If it is to meet the vital needs of stakeholders and give developmental impact. This is remarkable. And it indicated a paradigm shift in the way agricultural research and development activities are conducted. From every indication, this has been the crave of FARA, looking at what's on their website and the stakeholders in Africa and beyond in the last, I'll say, last 2 decades or thereabouts. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, effective engagement of the stakeholders is central. There's no doubt about it. To the crave for a demand-driven technology development, practice of the innovation system approach has indicated this as the best. I say, I repeat, the best, and emphasized the best way to go. If the product of research will lead to measurable developmental outcomes and impact. Our discussions today has shown again the importance of soil as the central point to the hydra-headed issue of sustainable intensification. Sustainable intensification is the only way for Africa to meet its food and nutritional requirements. It is those imperative that adequate information on the health status of soil should be made available very clearly in a usable format. This came out very clearly in Amua's presentation to inform rational decision on the use of this great asset. As a way forward, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I strongly think that a broader linkage with the stakeholders for a continuous development, refinement, and use of soil information system that is being developed is very vital. Secondly, effective communication on these two will be necessary to ensure broad-based use and impact. And lastly, let the tool meet the needs of the farmers in every, I emphasize, every African country, without going through any intermediary. At the African Soil Partnership, which is the African chapter of the Global Soil Partnership of FAO, where I currently serve as the chairman, on behalf of 43 country members of this group, we pledge our continuous support and full participation in this very, very important endeavor. Our sense of ownership will not wait until we have a veritable soil information system in every country in Africa. Once again, I thank all the panelists for your valuable contributions and other participants that listened to this webinar. I am convinced that with the kind of partnership and interaction I've observed between Africa and European partners in this webinar, there is a bright future. There's a glowing light at the end of the tunnel for the growth of Africa, of agriculture in Africa. Finally, I'm excited that the sustainable plan for this project, after the intervention from the European Union and ISRIC and a few others, we'll get there soon. But I want to still strongly recommend that African governments should be ready to provide resources to guarantee the continuity of this project. This can be achieved through the African Union. A special session can be arranged in one of the AU meetings. I wouldn't say compel, but convince all African countries to mainstream the Soil Information System project into their regular projects in individual countries, and then make budgetary provisions for the continuity of the project. This is the only way we can get out commitments from African countries. I want to thank Farah, I want to thank ISRIC for appointing me to give this closing remark. And at this point, I'll declare the webinar closed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Chude, for that elderly remark. We appreciate it a lot. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the meeting has been closed. We will send them the link to all the presentation to you and the link to the video for this webinar. We will do a short report as indicated in the output presented by Mary, and then we are going to make it available onto you. I want to thank you once again for your time and for sticking with us all through. Have the best of the day. Bye.
Hi, Wale. Good job.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Wale, and all the others. Thanks a lot.
And Yemi as well on the leadership